they've been here for over 5 years,
Yes.
they qualify to gain permanent residence.
All right.
So why don't they just put an application in and gain permanent residence?
Yes.
For those who are now coming into, we are advising them to get a residence card to indicate that they are here now. So that in case there's any changes in the rules, they can say, we're here, we're working. It probably will be the Australian style one that you have to be, the conditions for you to stay here will be to work.
Yes.
And definitely the forms will be changing, the rules will be changing on that basis, and that's what is going to happen. I mean, they need European skills and things like that. So our brothers and sister folks in Europe still come in, and they want to take advantage and work, and so be it.
So be it.
And obviously, the key aspect of free movement of persons that was helping our folks were the fact that if you come into the UK as a European or EEA national, then you had the right to bring your family members with you.
Yes.
And obviously your spouses, your children, your parents, and obviously a lot of African people have enjoyed this particular regulation. It's called Regulation 7, whereby is your direct family members, and the direct family members are like children and spouses and parents, direct. And then there was Regulation 8, which were indirect family members, i.e. Your nephews, your nieces, your brothers, your brothers and sisters and siblings were not necessarily direct in that sense. So we all know that a lot of our folks have taken advantage of this particular regulation and have been able to successfully maintain their residence in the UK legitimately. And that is obviously the fear now, that if all these things are taken away, what happens to the non-EEA family members who are not Europeans? What is going to happen to them? But obviously, when you're joined to a European national, you joined. It's either the European national is living and is living with you, or vice versa. And like we're saying, whoever is here as a non-EEA national family member, be it Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, wherever in Africa, or Australia, the Americas, wherever you are, that you've joined yourself to an EU national here, it's going to be very difficult for them to say that, oh, all of you leave.
Yes,
because by now you are here legitimately, you are working, you are paying taxes.
You're contributing to the economy.
That's a very good word. So on that basis, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to turn around and say, we want all of you to leave the UK at this particular point. It won't happen on that basis.
That's quite comforting to know. I know others out there are taking comfort in knowing this. So the WhatsApp number to text in on to the studio is 07539661744. So, lawyer, let's get personal now. Let's add a personal touch to this. So, what's a typical day for you, like in this line of work?
A typical day is obviously going to the office and then obviously going through your appointments. As we say, it's a street practice. So, street law is basically meeting people. And doing consultancies, or people bringing their issues and you advising them on the applications and what needs to be guarded, what needs to be done. That's a typical day. On other days when obviously it's a court hearing, you have to go to court, then you prepare yourself from the morning, or you prep yourself with your skeleton arguments and everything, make sure you know your case through and through, and to represent your client in the courts to the best of your ability. And this is where sometimes it gets a little bit tough, because let's use Ghanaian example. For lot of folks, probably from 30 years and above, who were born in Africa and who were raised in Africa, you thought how to respect authority so much that you take people to court, and because of that humility and respect, instead of holding their head high and speaking confidently, you see a lot of folks like shy, and sometimes the folks over here, when they see your head down and not looking straight in their face and trying
you look guilty.
Things that you are fibbing. You know, you're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you court is all about credibility.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have the best of cases, but if it's a marriage case that has been refused, it's all about credibility most of the times.
That's true.
And so you sitting there and you'd see our typical African man walks into the court with a wife. They are not holding hands. There's no connection. There's no emotions.
No show of affection.
You know, you want to show affection in court, man, the man is on high, man. So you got to definitely prep your clients, let them know what the court rules are, the nitty-gritty of stuff, and how to comport and answer questions straightforward, and not go on the garden path when they ask a question, a straightforward question, and and so that's the other side of it. And yes, that's a typical day.
That's quite interesting. So not only do you handle immigration stuff, you have to now coach people into how to, you know, comport themselves, their demeanor, and how to answer questions.
I mean, it's part of advocacy.
Part of it.
I mean, if anyone who does advocacy knows that you have to prep your client before you get into the courtroom, because it's not a criminal case. It's a civil matters, i.e. It's the immigration tribunal, and their case has been refused by the Secretary of State, and they've made an appeal challenging the Secretary of State's decision. So you have your day in court to put all your stuff forward. So a bundle is prepared, i.e. all your information or everything that you think will help your case is prepared in a bundle format. Is presented to the court beforehand, is presented to the other side, the Home Office, and vice versa. The Home Office also prepare their bundle, what they are relying on. And then you go to court and you are given a chance to present your case. Of course, the Home Office lawyers, who we call presenting officers, will have the chance to cross-examine you and to make sure that your story holds up. So those are typical.
We have some WhatsApp messages coming through, but before we get to that, I want to know some of the most challenging cases you've handled, and how people out there who are in similar situations can find help or seek help.
Wonderful. Because our practice deals with a lot of appeals, so most of the times there are some cases that, I mean, it's not us who even initiated it. People do their own applications, and obviously when things go wrong and they want to come and see you to appeal. And for me, that is where we have to nip it in the bud. There is nothing wrong. I mean, ages ago when we started immigration practice, people didn't have the opportunity to get the forms themselves and complete it themselves, go online. Nowadays you can go online. If you want, you can read about the guidelines, go online, download the forms, fill it up, read about the immigration rules concerning the application, and then you do your own application. What we're saying to people is this: there's nothing wrong, do it that way. But when you do it and it fails and you refuse, and when you come to see us, then you have to be charged double for that, because you have not sought legal advice. For me, I always hammer on this point, that we want our folks to understand that you need to seek legal advice. Many a times I go through Tottenham and things like that, and I love community stuff. Sometimes in my break time, just walk into barber shops and just go and sit there and just feel the whole atmosphere and things like that. And man, the sort of advice you hear people giving.
I've noticed that people out there have more insights to immigration issues than people who are even well versed in their practice of law.
I'll tell you, because you know, immigration is basic. Anyone who's come through into the country who wasn't born here would have to jump through some hoops, have to jump some hurdles, no matter. So everybody will have jumped a hurdle, and then what you did some years back or what you're doing right now is totally different from what Kojo did, is totally different from what Amma did.
Yes, that's true.
So you come in and people are giving that orientation that, oh, this is how we do it. This is how to fill the form. These are the documentation you need to attach to the office. And then, hey, presto, you know, they go ahead and do it. One, not knowing whether the rules have changed. Or two, even when the rules are the same, immigration is individualistic. You know, the set of circumstances for you is not the same for the other person. And so when people go ahead and mess up the applications, and it's then difficult to try and correct it.
You're right.
And
the job is now down to you to correct that mistakes, and it becomes tough.
It becomes tough, and I mean sometimes we're in court with folks, and as much as you've prepped them and given them the advice, they've also gone out there and has got some different advice.
They have been diluted.
And then sometimes you are there, you are delivering, and then your client just goes say something, and you just want the ground to just open up for you
and swallow you out.
It's a bit difficult, but hey, our folks, and we should know how to deal with them.
That is very true.
So typically, there are some cases which are tough, especially, like I did say initially, the human rights based one. Listen, I mean, immigration law is like a platform.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the platform, and then you either open a particular door. If you're a student, that's the door. You open the door, straightforward.
Right.
If you're a work permit holder, you open the door, straightforward. If you're here as a missionary, door, you tier 4, tier 3, whatever tiers you want to open, you open the door. If you're married to somebody, you open the door.
Yeah.
You want to do entry clearance application, bring in your spouse, your children, your parents, you open a particular door.
Yes.
Those are straightforward cases.
Straightforward.
Where people are in trouble is overstayers, people who are not in the country, who are not documented, people who are illegal. They are overstaying. They've been brought into the country through whatever means, and now they need to regularize themselves. And then obviously you have to look at all the set of facts and see what to really do for them. And those are tough cases. Because a typical example is the rule in this country for many years was that if you've lived here for continuous 14 years without papers, then you make an application in what we call long stay. Typical example. It was 14-year rule. So somebody comes in, he was a student for 3 years, finished the first degree, went ahead, did the masters, another 2 years, now probably done about 5 years, managed to get work permit or post-study work, another 2 years. The person has gone on for about 7 years legally. Then after the post-study work scheme, now it's come to the end of the road. He can't get regular employment, so the person then becomes overstaying. Maybe in the course of being in the country for over 7 years, hey, the person is human. He's found himself a girlfriend or a boyfriend. They are, living together. A child comes out of it. They're stuck. They haven't got any documentation. They can't really go back. They have nothing to go back to. So they want to carve their path in this country. It's then difficult. How do they regularize their stay? And then people were just torturing it up slowly, doing all they have to do, scheming, do what they have to do for 14 years, and then you get your papers. And then, boom, 2012, 14-year rule is amended. It's not 20-year rule. Now it's then difficult. How do you stay in this country undocumented for 20 years? There might be, the examples, we deal with a lot of clients who have been here for 20 years, that's cool. But in this current climate, it's difficult to be undocumented in this country for 20 years. So those are difficult cases that you need to now bring almost everything into the system to be able to help people. And those are some of the sort of difficult cases that we encounter.
Let's tackle these WhatsApp messages which have just come through. Patrick says this: I have been defrauded by a lawyer. How do I know if a lawyer is genuine?
First and foremost, before, let's be a bit, a bit smart about some things. If you go and see a legal practitioner, you definitely want to know who they are affiliated to. If they are lawyers, they will be affiliated to either the Law Society or Solicitors Regulation, the SRA authority, or they are immigration practitioners. They are what we call the OISC, Office of the Immigration Service Commissioner, who regulates immigration practitioners. And once you know that they belong to some of these bodies, there are rules and regulations. They are a regulated body who make sure that people are not schemed out of whatever money they are in. So it is always good to make sure that whoever you go to see tells you exactly who they are affiliated to.
Are you right to ask to see any documentation of such kind?
Let's be honest with ourselves. Most of our people, you don't have that confidence to do that. But by and large, you wouldn't just go down the high street and you see a firm and you walk in, it's normally by recommendation. I mean, about 90% of our cases are all recommended cases. You don't really get people just walking down the high street. Once in a while you do get that, but mostly it's recommendation. So definitely people have gone through that practice and they know how good they are, and for us that is our main bane of our business. It's just people recommending family members, friends, keep coming day in and day out. Now that we started sponsoring this program, we might probably get people calling us.
Oh, definitely. Mary is saying that can she have the lawyer's number? Mary, you can call in on 020-8133-2257 or 2258, and then we can discuss the issue, and then we'll see what we can do. And I'm speaking with lawyer Ansah of Hammond Lloyd Legal. His practice is located in Tottenham. If you call in, we can give you all the details for you to be able to get to him. So lawyer, one more question for you from our WhatsApp group. I have been here for 15 years. I had a husband, but we are now divorced. I did not get to finish my papers before then. Can my 15 years qualify me for documents, she says. It's from Esther.
Okay. I mean, the straightforward answer now, again, we have to know all the circumstances. But if it's a straightforward case of he's been here for 15 years, and then unfortunately after the rule change, it's now 20 years.
Yes.
So the 15 years on its own in what we call human rights and a private life.
Yeah.
You've had a private life in the United Kingdom for over 15 years. That alone will not qualify you. But there might be a set of circumstances that comes into it. Have you got children? Have you got any illness? Have you got any health issues? Are there any extenuating circumstances why you cannot return back to your country? All those have to be viewed in totality before a formal advice is given. And this is where I'm a bit tentative. Whenever I'm on a radio station or when I meet people and they want a quick advice, there might be issues that will help you, but we always look at just the big ones. But I mean, for instance, there are issues. Not ages ago, probably a few years back, there was a Ghanaian lady, and this case happened in Wales, where the woman was on dialysis and all that, and the application kept being refused, and it became a bit of a public issue. And normally with the Secretary of State, when a case becomes a bit of a public issue, they want to show that they are tough. So I think it was called Somani or something like that. The lady was deported to Ghana, and unfortunately when you go to Ghana, she passed away. I think it was on dialysis or something like that, kidney stuff. And so since then, I mean, even though there are rules concerning health and deportation and removals, it's sort of like a dent on the Home Office record. So some people, sometimes they're here illegally and stuff like that, but they might have some serious health issues. And those things can be looked at, devoid of whether they've been here X amount of years. So the different people's circumstances. But for instance, such a case like this, if they want to come and see us, they want to call us, they want to get legal advice, we will be in a position to do that. I mean, we're based in Tottenham in North London. Our office number is 0208 808 6460. 0208 808 6460. I tend not to put the emergency number on radio. We're going to do that, but people are used to calling mobile phones, and sometimes it's a bit worried. I mean, in the night when the lawyer is tired and sleeping, then you get phone calls, and then it's asking a question like, "Ouch, couldn't you have waited?"
I know.
And the emergency number means it's emergency. It's for people who have been detained, people who are in police stations and things like that. Then you have no other choice but to call the emergency number, which is 07947 681 796. And as much as we want to speak to people, as much as we want to help people, let's try and use the landline during office hours. If there's nobody available to speak to you, there's no caseworker available to speak to you, we will definitely get your contact details, and when I'm free or any of my colleagues are free, we'll be more than willing to give you a call back, either arrange an appointment or give you some quick advice of what to do.
Alright, great. The next question here coming in from Demola, and she says that, can the lawyer help someone who is in Nigeria to come to the UK?
I mean, most of our practice, entry clearance is one of our higher fields that we do as well.
Okay.
Entry clearance is a very tedious field.
Right.
The law firm definitely has to know what they are doing, because you don't want people spending all that amount of money and their cases being refused.
Yeah, sure.
So what we tend to do, and we do that very successfully, is when we take people's cases on for entry clearance, we make sure the advice is straightforward, the advice is complete. So we pick up the requirements, and then we pick you the individual, and then we tick the box as we go along. Make sure you fulfill all the requirements. For, let's just use a typical example. You want to bring your spouse from Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, wherever they may be, and the key point is that, number one, have you got to stay in the country? Are you a British national? Or have you got an indefinite leave to remain? Or have you got a work permit? That you should be somebody who is legit in the country to be able to bring somebody to come and stay with you, to come and settle with you. The person's British passport or ID or passport that shows that they got indefinite has to be there. You have to show evidence of the relationship. If it's a spouse, what's your marriage certificate? And then thirdly, there's a financial requirement. If you want to bring your spouse in, it means you have to be working and earning over £18,600. You have to show that physically. Most of the time, people rush into it. They don't, they think that we working here, we do another part-time job here. It's all, if it all accumulates into the 18,600 and above, that's fine. That is evidence-based. You gotta have it.
You have to have bank statements to show it.
That's to show it. You know, it's not just one source of a bank statement. Pay slips, bank statement, P60s, letter from employer. There's so many sources that go to say that I could do Ansah. If you call Kojo Ansah, just forgive me, I'm not talking about you. I'm just using a typical example. You know, I am working and I'm earning 19,000. You bring your sources of documentation that points to the fact that you are earning 19,000 P60s clearly. Then there's the English language requirement. Your spouse have to make sure that they can speak and write English to come in. And then the last one, which is what a lot of people, the entry clearance offices uses to refuse so many people, is a thorny issue, is evidence of correspondence. Are you able to show that, okay, you married Madam B in Accra 3 years ago? Is the marriage still subsisting? What shows that the marriage is still intact? Where is the evidence of correspondence? Evidence that the marriage is still happening. Intact, Do you go off home often? Do you do telephone calls? Do you do emailing during birthdays? And this is it. How does some of these guys are not too romantic? You have to send your birthday cards.
It's going against them. You must learn now.
So, you know, you can meet average Joe on the street who tells you, I've gone to get my wife, and I didn't get all this documentation. I just presented A, B, C, D. Tough. Good luck on average Joe. He did it. That's fine. But you want to make sure that you've gone to seek legal advice and all these requirements are ticked. And then you can then make a formal application, because it's not easy. Entry clearance for settlement is what, £1,296 now. If I'm right. I mean, it's 1,296 years, nearly, 1,196, nearly £1,200. And then you then have to pay what we call the new rule. You pay NHS surcharge of £500. That is £1,700. You pay your legal fees of around £900, £950, depending on whichever legal firm you're using. Some are even £1,500, some are £800. It depends, whichever one it is. So all in all, you probably will be spending about £3,000, £3,500.
It's very expensive.
That is a lot of money. So would you want to do all that and not probably go and see a lawyer for consultation and then pay some small money to know what it is?
Yeah, you shouldn't risk it. Yeah, definitely.
This is how I tell my folks. It's easier said than done. Now, there's no guarantee you come and see Hammond Lloyd or any other very reputable Ghanaian lawyers that your case is going to be successful. But the average and the probability that you're then going to get it is higher. It's higher. That's what it's all about.
That is true. That is true. And then once they see you for all these guidelines and help to get the visa and is declined, do you then help them with the appeal? That is
the main bane.
All right.
That is the main bane.
All right.
Once we've helped you to make an application and it's refused, even before we move on to the appeal stage, we normally force the entry clearance departments in the various countries in what we call a review.
Yes.
We normally force them within 3 weeks to review the case.
All right.
And then we highlight the points that whatever refusal notice they issued, whatever points they issued, we have to go back to them and say, we believe that you did not consider A, B, C, D properly. The documentation are in front of you. Ages ago, when you're doing an entry clearance for settlement, there was always an interview, wasn't it? So your spouse or your child will be able to go to the High Commission and have a formal interview. So if even there are some things that cannot be explained, the applicant was there to say, oh, yes, my father or my husband or my wife earns £20,000. But for the last 3 months, the money gone down. The wages go in, but because we are doing a project here, or because our mom is not well and we spend so much money on medical bills, there is not, my husband has gone into negative, overdrawn. But that doesn't mean he doesn't earn X amount of money. You know what I'm trying to say? The lawyers are there to make sure that all those things are clearly defined, clearly stated. Because there's nobody there, you, the applicant, is not there to explain yourself when he goes there. And these are some of the little tricks of the trade, so to speak. Yes.
Great. Ansah, when we go on, we'll be reviewing some WhatsApp messages coming in. So let's just go on with our interview with lawyer Ansah of Hamad Lloyd Legal. Lawyer Ansah, you seem to be well versed in your profession and what you do. Do you have any icons you look up to, any mentors who you look up to?
Oh, I mean, everybody has to start somewhere.
Definitely.
They're very good lawyers. When we first came into the UK, when we were going through our schooling systems, that were very good mentors for us. I mean, some have retired and some are no longer with us. And special mentions to, I mean, from Ghana, my mentor was the former Speaker of Parliament, Alajite, as well. Very helped us to mold us to concentrate on what the law means. When we came to the country, there were quite a few lawyers, SK Boafu and all those people who are no longer in the UK here. They've resettled back home, who did help us a lot and showed us the ropes. So we're grateful to all of them. And above all, we as Christians, we're grateful to our Maker for making it possible for us to be able to operate in the giftings that He's given us. I mean, for me, everybody's got a destiny. It's not by might that we're in the UK.
No,
if even I'm in the UK and there's only one soul that I'm able to help and one family's destiny is changed, I have done my bit. And so we don't lose fact of the fact that we belong to a particular it's not a sect, it's our religion, the Christianity, and you do good and you help people. There's a satisfaction in that.
Yeah, definitely there is. Time check is 2 minutes down the hour 8. We'll be going on a short break. We'll be back soon. Do not move your dial.